With the first pick of the 2020 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Joe Burrow, quarterback, Louisiana State University, senior, 6'4", 221, threw for a whopping 5,671 yards in 2019, 60 TDs and only 6 interceptions, and of course won the Heisman and a national championship.
You know, we've talked about him a lot on our podcast, being the savior of the Bengals. You know, we're just flying by the hip on this thing, you know, man. Being the savior of the Bengals, stepping in, taking over the reins for the franchise that's really in a bad spot. Bengals really had no choice but to go with Joe Burrow. Now we'll throw him over for some NFL comparisons to his position.
Well, Nick, Justin, thanks for having Johnny and I on. I think this was a fairly obvious pick. Then I would probably give it an A-. I wish the Bengals had a better offensive line to protect Joe Burrow when he starts as a rookie. As far as a pro comparison, I would give him either a Jared Goff to an Andrew Luck spectrum. I think he's going to fall somewhere in between those two.
Yeah, that's a great take, Brian. 100% with you on that. I'm going to give them an A. I feel that could be a little bit better. They could have maybe traded a couple picks back. I don't know. Could have loaded up for a future number 1 pick next year when the Dolphins are horrible again. But I guess we'll have to see. But for me, my pro comparison, it reminds me a lot of Carson Palmer as far as just the fact that it's number 1 pick. And that's kind of the big similarity between that. And I'm excited to see him lose at least 2 games a year, hopefully.
At number 2, the Washington Redskins just took Chase Young out of The Ohio State University. 6'5", 264, had 46 tackles, 16.5 sacks, and 6 forced fumbles in his junior year at Ohio State. Arguably the best player in the draft this year.
Best player in the draft, most athletic, scary guy at the college level. What is he going to do at the NFL level?
Yeah, I'm really excited to see Chase Young in the NFL. I think he's going to be a huge star for many, many years to come. And I'm going to kick it over to the draft Dr. Dern. Draft Dr. Dern, what are your thoughts, bud?
Thanks for that segue, I guess, Johnny. I mean, Chase Young is an A+ to whatever team he goes to. I think he's hands down the best player in this draft. And as far as an NFL comparison, he reminds me a lot of DeMarcus Ware, someone that can rush in a 3-4 position or put his hand down in the dirt. I think this is a home run for the Redskins.
With the third pick, the Detroit Lions select Jeff Okudah, defensive back from The Ohio State University. Junior, 6'1", 205, 29 solo tackles this year, 3 picks, and 0 defensive pass interferences. Pretty solid year. Really good build. What do you think about him at the next level, gentlemen?
I think Okudah Matata, man. I'm pumped for the Lions. That's great, man.
Yeah, so as far as the Lions go, I wish I could compare him to a Patrick Peterson, but I think the best comparison that I can think of is actually his old fellow Buckeye teammate, Marshawn Lattimore, who's now at the Saints. Similar size, similar combine results, similar measurables, can play the zone, but much, much better in the man coverage. And I think Detroit got the best corner in the draft.
With pick number 4, the New York Giants took Andrew Thomas, offensive lineman out of Georgia. He's a junior, 6'4", 315, 2-time Associated Press All-American, 2-time first-team All-SEC. Nick, you got any comparisons or anything you would like to say on this pick?
Very big boy. That's all I got.
There we go.
So I'll add on to the pro comparisons. He reminds me a heck of a lot of Jonah Williams from Alabama that came out of the draft last year. I think both the guys were the most pro-ready tackle, can play left or right tackle, and they both played in a pro-style offense while in college. Now, the better thing about Andrew is he's not going to be on injured reserve, or hopefully, for his rookie season.
Yeah, I think I'm shocked by this pick. I did not expect the Giants to make that move. There's a couple other tackles that I personally have rated higher, but that's a shock, man. But, hey, if I know one thing, I know the Giants GM, he's not that good.
With the 5th pick, the Miami Dolphins took Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback, Alabama, had an injury-shortened season as a junior, 6 foot, 217, threw for 2,840 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions, of course, shortened by his hip injury, but of course did rescue them in the 2017 National Championship off the bench cold as a freshman. What are we looking at for the NFL, gentlemen?
In my opinion, this is a hot take, Nick, so definitely put me on the hook for this, but I don't think Tua is going to be that good. I think he's a bust, man. I'm sorry. But
Wow.
The Dolphins get their boy. They did their tank for Tua. They just got him at 5 instead of 1. So, I mean, hey, at the end of the day, the Dolphins will be Dolphins, man.
So I'm not going to go as far as Johnny and call Tua a bust. I think he's a very talented player. But if you think back about how the Dolphins had the kind of year that they traded away Ryan Tannehill, made it to the playoffs. They traded away Laramie Tunsil, Pro Bowl tackle, and they traded away Minkah Fitzpatrick, one of the best secondaries in the league right now. So the fact that they're here drafting Tua, an unknown quarterback, we don't know what his health is like. I give this one a C+. And as far as the comparison, it's probably not the most popular name, but I'm going to go with Jeff Garcia. He was an okay quarterback and had an okay career, but nothing special.
It's Tim Tebow.
With the 6th pick, the L.A. Chargers take Justin Herbert out of Oregon. In his senior season, he threw for 3,471 yards, 32 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. He is 6'6", 236. And along with that, in a senior season, had a really gutsy and gritty Rose Bowl win. And so that was probably the thing that sealed him being a top 10 quarterback because of his rocky career. His coming out moment probably was really the Rose Bowl game. So we'll throw it to our NFL guys to see what they got to say about him and some comparisons.
Yeah, I love Justin Herbert, man. I think he's going to be really, really good. I would like to see a comparison after year 1 of Herbert's numbers and Joe Burrow's numbers. I think Herbert's primed to have even a better year than Burrow. I really like him. He's a big guy. He's fast. In a sense, he reminds me a lot of Carson Wentz, which is pretty good. So good arm, good presence on the field. So I'm excited about this pick for the Chargers. That's a good pick. Brian, what do you think?
Yeah, I like this pick as well. Herbert reminds me a lot of Tannehill with the Titans, maybe a little bit more athletic and maybe a bit more accuracy. You always question the quarterbacks that come out of Oregon because of the style of offense that they play. But the situation going to the Chargers, I think between him, Burrow, and Tua, he will probably have the best rookie year, in my opinion.
With the 7th pick, the Carolina Panthers select Derek Brown, defensive tackle from Auburn. The big boy is a senior, 6'5", 326, a whopping 55 tackles, 4 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles on the year. If you're looking for big boys who can move, Derek Brown to the Carolina Panthers. What's he looking like for the NFL, boys?
Yeah, so I took a look at NFL.com, and their NFL comparison has Chris Jenkins. To me, it's more of like a Leroy Jenkins, kind of World of Warcraft reference. Also, I'd probably throw in, he's a big guy. I'd probably say like kind of like Jabba the Hutt is more like it. So I'm pretty excited to see where he goes with that. I think, hey, anytime you can get a guy that big to plug up your line, hey, hope he gets some sacks, man. Brian, let's get some real expert opinion. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I don't know how this aligns with Johnny's analysis, but coming into the draft, I was not very big on Derek Brown. If I'm a GM, I would much rather have Javon Kinlaw from South Carolina. I think he's got a much higher ceiling. I think Derek Brown is limited to a run-stuffing role, which reminds me a lot of Damon Harrison from Detroit. I think he's going to play a role similar to Vita Vea of the Buccaneers, where he does a good job, but not much shows up on the stat line. So as far as the Panthers, I give this one a B-.
With the 8th pick, Arizona has taken Isaiah Simmons, linebacker out of Clemson. He's a junior, 6'4", 238 pounds. He had 67 solo tackles, 7 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 3 interceptions. Buckus Award winner, ACC Defensive Player of the Year, first team All-ACC, flat-out stud. I personally think Arizona got a steal here. Didn't expect him to fall this far. Nick, got any thoughts on Isaiah Simmons?
Fantastic out of Clemson product. I think he's an absolutely versatile athlete. Best player on the field when he's out there. I think he's going to make an immediate impact. And again, like Justin said, an absolute steal at 8. What do you think, Johnny?
Yeah, man, I think Simmons, I could not believe he fell to 8. I was kind of hoping as a Browns fan that he'd fall to 10 because he's an incredible player. He brings a lot of versatility to a team. And I think, man, I'm just excited to see where it goes, man. The Cardinals are going to be pretty good next year. I'm excited to see where they go. Brian, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So this pick reminds me of about 8 years ago when the Cardinals selected a guy by the name of Deion Buchanan from Washington State, who just absolutely blew the combine away and was kind of a tweener as well between a strong safety or a linebacker. And I think that's exactly what Isaiah Simmons is going to be doing. I love that Arizona addressed the offense during the offseason with the DeAndre Hopkins trade, and now they're addressing the defense. And I think they're becoming a more balanced team. I think this was the best pick they could have made, so I give it A minus.
With the 9th overall pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars select C.J. Henderson, corner, Florida, junior, 6'1", 204, 33 tackles, and 11 pass deflections in the 2019 season. You got any other SEC comparison there, Justin?
Not SEC, but I do think he's an athletic corner who is what the Jags needed. So I think that's a good pick for them, and he doesn't have to go far from home. So that's good for him. So we'll throw it to Johnny. What do you think?
Yeah, I like the C.J. Henderson pick. I think with what's available, they definitely needed to replace Ramsey a lot better. So that's something that they needed to address. So I'll say, hey, you know what? You got your guy. Hopefully he turns out well for him. Brian, let's hear some expert analysis.
Yeah, when I watch CJ Henderson play, he reminds me a lot of this year's NFL Defensive Player of the Year, Stephon Gilmore with the Patriots. He's got good height, good speed. The only downside is it seems like there's a little bit of reservation when it comes to putting his head in for a tackle, but I think he's a natural ball hawk. And with everything that's going on in the Jacksonville's organization, they could have picked any player and it would have been filling a need. So I gave CJ an A minus as well.
At pick number 10, my Brownies take Jedrick Wills out of Alabama University. He is a junior, 6'4", 312 pounds, second team Associated Press All-American, first team All-SEC. Tua loves him. He's blocked for some great running backs in his time who have got a lot of yards behind him. Gotta love the safe pick out of the Browns here, Johnny. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, hey, I don't have a degree from Harvard, so I'm probably not going to be the Browns GM anytime soon. But I like this pick. This is classic. The Browns trying to do something good. So here's the thing. I'm a negative homer Browns fan, so I'm going to obviously love the pick. Think it's the best. But I'm a big Browns guy till the day that I die. Cleveland is my city for sure. I'm pumped, man. You get the best linemen available, in my opinion, there, ready to go. So yeah, I'm pumped. Brian, let's hear it.
So I don't think they could have gone wrong as far as selecting one of the best 3 remaining tackles, but I'm surprised they didn't pick Tristan Wirfs. I liked Wirfs better than Wills. As far as Wills, he reminds me a lot of the New Orleans Saints right tackle from, I think, Wisconsin, Ryan Ramczyk. I think he's going to have a great long professional career. It's unfortunate that he got drafted by the Browns. But I think the Browns made the right call, didn't do anything flashy, and made a pick of what they needed.
With the 11th pick, the New York Jets select Mchue Becton, offensive line from the University of Louisville Cardinals. The junior, the big boy, 6'7", 364, first team All-ACC. Didn't play in the bowl game, and we had the little alleged failed drug test, but we still got him at 11. Mchue Becton. The ceiling is amazingly high on this guy, Brian. Don't talk me out of that. He's a big boy. He's still got a lot of growth to happen. But, I mean, 11, I'll take it. I'll take it for a card. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think he's going to be the best Mchue since Mekhi Phifer. Just calling that here. I think the Jets definitely get a good one in Becton, so I like that pick.
Yeah, I'm a fan of this selection as well. He reminds me a lot of the Mountain from Game of Thrones. Pro comparison. Who else can you compare him to aside from Orlando Brown from last year that the Ravens took? A lot of people were really down on Brown's conditioning, and they were worried about his love for food more so than football. and he turned out to, I think, help the Ravens lead the league in rushing. So I think Mchue is going to have a very, very similar career to Brown, and I think this is a great pick. I give it an A.
With the 12th pick, the Las Vegas Raiders, that's right, the Las Vegas Raiders take Henry Ruggs III out of Alabama. The guy ran a 4.27 40. He's a 5'11 junior, weighing in at 188. 40 receptions, 746 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 18 yards per catch. 18 yards per catch tells me he is explosive, and if you watched the Crimson Tide offense at all, they were explosive, and he was explosive, especially with Tua throwing to him. So we'll throw it over to Johnny. Johnny, what do you think about this pick?
Yeah, I like this pick, man. I mean, Ruggs is fast. NFL.com has him listed as Ted Ginn Jr. I think he's going to be just as big of a game player as Tyreek Hill. I think Ted Ginn Jr. I don't think that's very high of a comparison. I think Ruggs is good, super fast. In the time it took us to introduce him, he's already ran 40 yards. That's crazy. So I like that, man. Let's throw it to the doctor.
Yeah. So anytime the Raiders are picking, you're not surprised when they pick speed over talent. I had Ruggs as my third highest rated receiver. I would have picked Judy or Lamb, but again, it's the Raiders. They love speed. So I think Ted Ginn is a fairly accurate comparison. I would throw out John Ross of the Bengals as well. I think the one thing that worries me, in his whole college career, he was never covered by the number one corner. That was his teammate, Jerry Jeudy. So who knows how his game will translate to the pros. For the Raiders, I give this a B-.
With the 13th pick, the San Francisco 49ers traded the rights to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who drafted Tristan Wirfs, offensive lineman from Iowa, the big boy, a junior, 6'5", 320. An honorable mention on the All-Big Ten sophomore. Ooh, that was bad. On the All-Big Ten, his sophomore year, second team AP All-American Big Ten O-Lineman of the year in 2019. And I cannot wait to hear the NFL analysis from Dr. Dern, the Bucs fan himself. Let's hear it.
Yeah. So I'm very pleased that the Bucs got one of the top 4 tackles, and Wirfs was my second highest rated tackle. So in that standpoint, I give it an A. I don't like that they had to trade up one spot to get him. I'm guessing the Broncos were probably on the phone with the Niners as well, and we had to offer a little bit more. As far as pro comparison, he reminds me a lot of another Iowa tackle, Brandon Scherf, who would transition to a guard in the NFL with the Redskins and is an all-pro guard. And I think that would be ideal for Wirfs to transition to guard. I think he could be one of the best guards in the league. But right now, Tampa, their biggest need is to protect Brady at tackle, and that's what he's going to do.
Yeah, I think you go from Scherf to Wirf. I like that. That's good analysis there. Really good. I think the Bucs, man, they're jumping on that bandwagon. So I'm excited. Go Bucs.
With the 14th pick, Tampa traded to San Fran. That's Tampa to San Fran, not the coverage, but a trade. Okay. And San Francisco took Javon Kinlaw, D lineman out of South Carolina. He was a senior. He's 6'5", 324. He had 35 tackles, 6 sacks. I think he's going to be a good football player just because of his name. He's got a heck of a football name. But other than that, I don't watch much South Carolina football, so I'll throw it to the experts. Johnny, what do you think?
Yeah, man. The NFL comparison on NFL.com is Michael Brockers, and I think that's pretty good. He's built to intimidate with exceptional physical traits. I think he's a bull rusher, so I'm excited to see what he can do. I think it'll be pretty good. It's a good pick here.
Yes, I'm right with Johnny. I love this pick. I had Kinlaw rated higher than Brown. And the Niners, they traded Buckner this offseason, so they needed a replacement. And I think Kinlaw is a very similar player, same size, great athletes. He reminds me a lot of Jeffrey Simmons last year from, I think, Mississippi State. I think he's going to have an instant impact on an already very good Niners defense. I give this one an A.
With the 15th pick, the Denver Broncos select Jerry Jeudy, receiver from Alabama. Junior at 6'1", 193, 77 receptions, 1,163 yards in his 2019 season. 7 of his 10 touchdowns from the slot. They'll look to work him through that way. And he averaged a nice 15 yards per catch. Another Alabama receiver that when he gets upfield, good night. What do you guys think for the NFL?
Yeah, so I was looking at NFL.com here. And they do a pretty cool strengths and weaknesses thing, but I found a stat that I thought was pretty cool. Judy scored 24 touchdowns over his last 28 games. That's about as many touchdowns as the Bengals scored all last year. And for the Browns, it was about as many touchdowns as they scored in 10 years. So that's pretty good. Brian, let's hear Draft Doctor.
Yeah, I think this is a great pick for Denver. Pairing Jerry Jeudy up with Cortland Sutton. If only the Broncos had a better quarterback to get them the ball. I think this is a great 1-2 punch. Man, Jeudy, yeah, he's Calvin Ridley 2.0. I think maybe even a little bit better. I give this one a B+ for the Broncos.
So at 16, Atlanta takes A.J. Terrell, cornerback out of Clemson. He's a junior, 6'1", 195, 34 tackles, 2 interceptions, 3 passes defense. What that tells me is not a lot of people wanted to throw at him. If you only have 3 pass defenses, that means not a lot of people want to go your way. It's kind of that Richard Sherman effect of not wanting to do that. And if you watch Clemson play, that's the truth. This guy's the real deal. He really took away half the field for the Tigers, except against Joe Burrow. So we'll throw to our NFL guys and see what they got to say about this pick.
Yeah, so I'm doing a little research on AJ. He's actually a hometown guy from Atlanta. Went to Westlake High School in Atlanta. So you get a hometown boy coming home to play for his home team. Hopefully he was a Falcons fan growing up. But, yeah, I think he's going to be a project corner. Don't think he'll start right away, but I think he's got a high upside for sure. So interesting pick.
Yeah, so I think when you're in a division with Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and then Drew Brees, Michael Thomas, and Emmanuel Sanders, you need to stock up on corners. Now, I think this is a bit of a reach for the Falcons, but in a division with bigger body receivers, you get a corner that's 6'1", almost 6'2", 200 pounds, and that's good at playing man coverage. I think this is a smart pick. Again, I think it's a reach, so I'll give this one a B-, but he reminds me of Carlton Davis out of Auburn, playing with Tampa right now. Again, a bigger corner, strictly man-to-man, has a high ceiling, but needs time to develop.
With the 17th pick, the Dallas Cowboys take CeeDee Lamb, receiver from Oklahoma, the junior at 6'2", 198, 62 receptions, 1,327 yards, 14 touchdowns, and a whopping 21 yards per catch in this 2019 season. Arguably the best receiver on people's boards. Quite a slide here, 217, excuse me. And I'm very interested to hear what the NFL guys think here.
Yeah, I think CeeDee Lamb is one of my favorite receivers in the draft. I think he's going to be as good as Jeudy, if not better. Brian, I'm pretty sure you would agree with that. I think CeeDee Lamb has some big play potential, and I'm really excited to see, what the Cowboys get on that. I was honestly shocked he slid this far. So nice value for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys did a good job addressing their defense in the offseason through free agency. They got Gerald McCoy and Dontari Poe up front, and they got Clinton Dix as a safety. So it's time to address the offense. So pairing Lamb with Cooper, I think, is a great 1-2. Again, with Zeke Elliott in the backfield. Lamb reminds me of kind of a poor man's Hopkins, which is not a bad thing. I think he'll be a very good pro. I don't think he's going to be great. So I give this one a B.
With the 18th pick, the Miami Dolphins have selected Austin Jackson, offensive lineman out of USC. He was a junior, 6'5". Yeah, I read that right. 322, big boy. First team All Pac-12. His grandfather played in the NFL. He couldn't beat Notre Dame, so I don't understand how he's picked before a Notre Dame player, but we'll leave that be for another day. So to be done with my Irish rant, we'll throw it to the NFL guys.
So I am not a fan of this pick at all. I had a a round 2 grade on Austin Jackson. I like Josh Jones and Ezra Cleveland from Houston and Boise State much better. Austin Jackson reminds me a lot of Ronnie Stanley coming out of Notre Dame. You may best remember him for being bullied by Richie Incognito when he entered the league. I think Jackson looks like a great NFL player, but I think he's soft. And if you look at a couple games, he was too often beat by guys such as Bradley Anai or AJ Espinoza, who are going to be round 2, round 3, round 4 picks. And he's brought in by maybe the worst franchise in the NFL right now to be the starting left tackle. And whoever their quarterback is, I think he's going to pay the consequences. So I give this one a D+.
I got to jump in here on Ronnie Stanley. All right, Ronnie Stanley. Okay, I can't let USC get over on Notre Dame. Are you kidding me? Ronnie Stanley was a Pro Bowler in 2019, first team All Pro in 2019, and he was an All American in college. All right, he plays for the Ravens. He is a plower. I think that we're confused on guys here, but we'll go with it. Ronnie Stanley is actually good. So, Austin Jackson, you got something to live up to here.
Is now a good pro. If you go back to his first couple of years, he was horrible. He was bullied by his own teammates.
That's fair. That's fair. I couldn't leave that out there, but that's fair. I'll give that one to you, Doctor.
With the 19th pick, the Las Vegas Raiders select Damon Arnett, corner out of Ohio State. A shocking grab here. So shocking, we didn't even have him on our big board here at Back to the Bricks. So we had to pull up some quick stats. The 6-foot senior, 195 from Fort Lauderdale, 35 tackles, and a pick this season. I can tell you from living with some Ohio State fans in college, this man is solely responsible for a lot of big plays and losses the last few seasons. And I cannot wait to hear Dr. Dern's take on this outrageous pick at number 19.
So 3 years ago, the Raiders took another Ohio State cornerback in the first round. I think it was pick 24, Garyon Conley. And I think he only lasted 2 years with the Raiders. He's now with the Texans. And I would peg Damon Arnett as a poor man's Garyon Conley and see a very similar future. I think this one was a reach. I think the Raiders have been doing a good job reestablishing and building their franchise, and I think this was a poor pick with other areas of needs. I give this one a C+.
At the 20th pick, Jacksonville takes Kalavon Chason. That's how Trey Wingo said it. That's how I'm saying it. Out of LSU, he's a junior. He's 6'4", 250, 60 tackles, 6.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble. I'll say a football slang term here. When I watched him, he played downhill. And if you love anything out of your linebackers, you like guys that fly around and play downhill. So big-time cog in what was a pretty good LSU defense. We'll see how he fits into that Jacksonville defense here moving forward. Johnny, what do you think?
Yeah, man, I think NFL comparison, they got it as Aldon Smith. I think he's an edge. He's definitely an edge rusher. Boom or bust. I think that's with any draft pick, honestly. I think it's kind of a cop-out for NFL.com to put boom or bust. Yeah, you freaking think. Either they're going to be good or they're not. So, I mean, come on, man. But we'll see. It's a good pick for them on the clock there. So hopefully it works out for them.
Yeah, for the Jags to take an edge rusher who already have Josh Allen and Yannick Ngakoue, you have to think that Ngakoue might be on the move, and maybe Jacksonville find a way to trade back up into the first round again. I'm right with Johnny where this could be a boomer bust pick. If we're sticking with LSU edge rushers of the past, he could be anywhere between a Barkevis Mingo, who tested at the combine out of this world, or it could be a Danielle Hunter, who didn't do the greatest at the combine, but he's consistently a double-digit sack artist at Minnesota. So for this pick, I give the Jaguars a B-.
With the 21st pick, the Philadelphia Eagles take Jalen Reagor, TCU wide receiver. A little shocking off the board here with some other big-name guys like Justin Jefferson still on the board. The junior, 5'11", 195, only 43 catches on the year, only 611 yards, and only 5 touchdowns. He did get off for 14 yards a catch when he did get the ball. Quick guy. I think he's a guy that needs a lot of development. Again, I'm a little shocked here. Unless you saw something on tape that you absolutely fell in love with, I don't know why the reach here. Johnny, what do you think?
Honestly, man, I think Justin Jefferson's going to be a much better wide receiver, and I'm shocked, man. I don't even really want to comment on this guy.
Yeah, so to piggyback off of Johnny, if you think about a Philly offense that has an Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson, Miles Sanders, Zach Ertz, and Carson Wentz delivering the ball to all of them, I think a receiver was the right way to go. But just as you guys said, I'm kind of surprised they didn't go with Jefferson. I think Jefferson, wherever he goes, is going to have a great career. With that being said, I think Jalen, he's a very similar player to an ex-Buckeye, Curtis Samuel, that's currently with the Panthers. I think right now, where in college, spent time in the backfield, spent time in the X, in the Z, returning kicks, returning punts. He's kind of your do-it-all guy, and I think that's exactly what he's going to do with Philly. So I think it's great that he's not going to be pushed into a starting role. He'll get to spend time all over the field, but then again, I still think they should have gone with Jefferson. So I'll give this one a B minus.
With the 22nd pick, Minnesota takes Justin Jefferson out of LSU, junior, 6'1", 202 pounds, 111 receptions, 1,540 yards, 18 touchdowns, 14 yards per catch. Some would argue that he made Joe Burrow, not that Joe Burrow made him. And so I think I might agree with that take. The dude is a stud. And I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say he's the steal of the draft. Falling all the way to 22. Guy's got flat potential. He's got all the measurables. I think Minnesota got a steal of the draft there. Nick, what do you think?
Well, I think if you would have said last year Joe Burrow goes number 1 and Justin Jefferson goes number 22, people would have absolutely laughed you all the way out of the draft. I think Jefferson is a great receiver. I think he plays a lot bigger than 6'1". I'm really interested to see what he does there in that role. But I think this is a guy with that kind of talent who slides to a better team in the draft at this spot, and he might benefit year one right away. A bunch of yards. What do you think, Johnny?
Yeah, Nick, I totally agree, man. I think he's really good at making his adjustments look easy. I think he really just is so smooth, and a great jab step that gives separation from the route, which will really just bring it to life. So I think that's an incredible pick for the Vikings at this point in the draft. I honestly thought he would be off the board by now for sure, at least 5 to 6 picks previous. So hats off to Minnesota, man. That's a steal.
Yeah, I think I'll sound like a broken record here. I think if you look at the Vikings roster, it's a pretty complete roster and very competitive and almost guaranteed a playoff spot every year. And their only holes, their needs, I would say, would be corner, tackle, or receiver. And someone like Justin Jefferson to fall this far down in the first round, I think this is a steal. And the fact that he gets to play the 2 spot is great, replacing Stephon Diggs. This is a great pick. I give it an A. He reminds me a lot of another Carolina receiver, DJ Moore out of Maryland. He's got great hands, and he's a great route runner. So good job, Minnesota.
With the 23rd pick, the L.A. Chargers select Kenneth Murray, linebacker from Oklahoma, the junior, 6'3", 241, 102 tackles on the year, 4 sacks, and 4 pass deflections. And, Justin, you're real high on this guy. I mean, but before that, the best couch we've seen so far in the draft. A shout-out to Kenneth Murray's family. Justin, what do you think about him?
Hot take there, Nick, hot take. But I really like Kenneth Murray. People complained about the Oklahoma defense being soft before this year and that kind of stuff. All that starts with a linebacker that's nasty, and he had some nastiness about him, and that's what I really liked about him was he's nasty, and he likes to play football, and you can tell he likes to hit people, and I think that's a good thing for the Chargers, and I think that just shows what kind of player he's going to be, in my personal opinion. Johnny, what do you think?
Yeah, man, I think just reading in on him, I haven't, if I'm being honest, I haven't been really deep on all the players of this year's draft, but just reading his bio, his son of a preacher, and his parents they raised 3 adopted siblings with special needs. So characters there, physicality's there. I think that's a good pick for the Chargers. I was a little surprised that the Patriots traded back there, especially with all the talk of Jordan Love and the Patriots there. So maybe they weren't so high on Love. So I guess we'll see. But good pick for the Chargers.
Yeah, so if you're looking at the Chargers defense, you got names like Joey Bosa, Melvin Ingram, Denzel Perryman, Chris Harris, Derwin James, Casey Hayward. Now you're adding in someone like Murray. This is a good defense. I think this is a top 10 defense this coming year. Murray, I think, brings similar traits as Darius Leonard does to the Colts, where he's a sideline to sideline linebacker. He can drop into coverage, he can fill the gap in the run, and he can blitz the quarterback. I think they gave a little too much up in the trade, but I still think this is a very good value pick for this position in the draft. I give it a B+.
With the 24th pick, the New Orleans Saints take Cesar Ruiz, center / offensive lineman out of Michigan. He's a junior, 6'3", 307, second team All Big Ten. Towards the end of the year, that Michigan run game really kind of got going a little bit. And so that has to play into that offensive line. And so I don't watch much Michigan football because I don't like to. So if we'll throw it to the NFL guys here and let them talk a little bit.
Yeah, man, anytime you can see a grown man cry on live television, that's definitely a plus. I don't even want to say – I mean, Michigan. I'm surprised you even said the M, to be honest. But that's okay, man. Good luck for the Saints, man. Who dat?
Yeah, so if my memory is correct here, I feel like the Saints drafted a center in last year's draft in the first or second round, Eric Mchue. So I'm a little confused by this pick, especially when their one need is at middle linebacker and you got Patrick Queen sitting on the board. I don't know if they're planning on transitioning Ruiz to guard, or maybe McCoy will go to guard. But that's why Sean Payton's the head coach and I'm not. So with my own knowledge, I give this one a C+.
With the 25th pick, the Vikings trade the rights to the San Francisco 49ers, who draft Brandon Ayuk, Arizona State receiver, hopped back in and got one of the talented receivers of this deep class. The senior is 6'1", 206, 65 grabs, but for a whopping 1,192 yards, so very productive, 8 touchdowns and 18 yards per catch. So watch out for this guy. Not going to be honest, don't know a whole lot about him out of the Pac-12. Pac-12 After Dark, shout out to them. But Brandon Ayuk to the San Francisco 49ers. Johnny, what you got?
Yeah, man, I think I like his name. That's all I can go by because it's the first I've ever heard of him. It sounds like something that would happen in like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter. I feel like you're like, Ayuk, like something like that. I forget what that guy's name is. Don't at me on that. But, yeah, man, it's getting late in the draft, and that's all I got. I don't even know who this guy is other than he sounds like a Mortal Kombat fighter. So, Dr. Dern, what do you got?
I don't really know how to follow that analysis up. I like the pick. The Niners have a pretty balanced and solid team all around, and this is the one place that they needed some help after losing Emmanuel Sanders. Ayuk is a solid guy. He reminds me a lot of Keenan Allen from the Chargers. He's not the tallest. I think he's right around 6 foot, but I do love his wingspan. Hopefully he utilizes that to go up and get the ball and keep away defenders. If I was John Lynch, I would have loved to have seen them get Laviska Shenault from Colorado. I think he is the exact same player as Deebo Samuel. And I think the two of them together, receivers and running back bodies, would have been fun to watch. But the fact that they still addressed their one need, I'll give this one a B.
With the 26th pick, Miami traded the pick to the Green Bay Packers, and the Packers took out of Utah State Jordan Love, junior, 6'4", 224, threw for 3,402 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 17 interceptions. 17 interceptions in a conference that's not Power 5 against competition that's not Power 5. I guess arm strength, I guess all those other things that he has makes up for that. But you see some of the other guys not have those turnover numbers as he does, and he doesn't play against Power 5 opponents. So, Nick, what do you have to say about this from that perspective?
I think Jordan Love is he might be the mystery of this draft, for the 2020 draft. A guy who's now 6'4", started 5'6" in high school. Only FBS offer was Utah State. Maybe not done growing. Definitely not done growing into his arm talent. I think he's a guy that had to force a lot of balls because he played for Utah State and he didn't have a whole lot of weapons. So I think he's definitely a project, and I'm really interested to hear what the doctor has to say, because I think it's a really good pick for the team that took him.
So back in 2005, the Green Bay Packers drafted current quarterback Aaron Rodgers, and ahead of him on the depth chart was a guy by the name of Brett Favre, a pretty good quarterback, and it was towards the end of his career, just as it is right now with Aaron Rodgers. But it seemed to work out pretty well for the franchise. However, if I'm Aaron Rodgers right now, I'm thinking to myself, every year we are so close to getting to the Super Bowl, and this move does absolutely nothing to help them win now. Yes, I think it's a great move for the future of the franchise, and who better to learn behind Aaron Rodgers. So I think it's a great move for Jordan Love, not the best move for the Green Bay Packers. So I'm going to give this one to a poor man's Dak Prescott, a C. We'll just do a solid C.
Yeah, that's good, Brian. I think too. My worry with him is there was he was cited for marijuana possession in December, but the case was dismissed in January. So if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I discount double check that for sure, and get the cheese rolling, because it looks like the end is near.
With the 25th pick, a little shocker here, the Seahawks grabbed Jordan Brooks from Texas Tech, linebacker, 6'1", 240. A great amount of tackles this year. Had 108 tackles. Impact guy out of the Big 12. Really interested to hear what the NFL breakdown is here. It's a guy that honestly shocked us, not on our big board, and I don't think on a lot of teams' big board for round one. What do you think, Johnny?
Yeah, man, I think he has above average instincts. His athletic traits are even higher than his tape shows, which I think is pretty good. He's definitely going to be an impact player. This is kind of a reach for me. I had Zach Bond out of Wisconsin a little higher than him, but that's all right. Hey, it's the Seahawks. You never know.
Yeah, I'm with Johnny on this one. I had him as a round 2 pick, but then again, the Seahawks consistently have a very aggressive style of defense filled with a lot of playmakers, and that's exactly what he is he can get sideline to sideline. He's a good coverage backer. Brooks reminds me of kind of a poor man's Devin White. I know I've used that analogy as a poor man's version of someone's last year's first round pick. He's roughly the same size, similar combine results. I think in the right system, I mean, he's going to be next to Bobby Wagner and KJ Wright. So, I mean, that's a good trio of linebackers right there. Again, still a reach. So I'll give this one a C+.
All right, with the 28th pick, Baltimore has taken Patrick Queen out of LSU. He's a junior, 6'2", 229. He had 85 tackles, 3 sacks, 1 interception. He made some really big plays in their season. The reason why LSU's defense kept getting better was partially because of him. Made some huge plays in the national championship game. And a lot of those things. So he's definitely a guy who lives for the big moment, which is something that the Ravens hope to be doing here soon. So, Johnny, what do you think?
Yeah, I think, reading in on it, he's for the Ravens as a Browns fan. I hate the Ravens, man. They're the 95 Browns, as I call them. So weaknesses here, they say that he's really benefits from some big boys keeping him clean. Needs some better timing for downhill running to squeeze the gap. So, I hate the Ravens, so good luck to them. Hate them.
So Johnny mentioned that he benefits when some big boys are up front. He's going to be playing behind Derek Wolfe, Brandon Williams, and the last year's Man of the Year award, Calais Campbell. So those are 3 very good and very large boys. And I think this is a perfect pick for Baltimore. When they see Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship, he's going to be able to help drop back into coverage and allow the front 3 and then Matt Judon to try to get to Mahomes. I like this pick. I think Queen dropped a little further than I was expecting. I give this one an A-.
With the 29th pick, the Tennessee Titans take Isaiah Wilson, offensive tackle, out of Georgia, a young boy, sophomore, big boy though, 6'7", 340 guy who is not anywhere close to his potential as far as I can tell, but really has a chance to grow into a running offense. Can't wait to hear what Johnny thinks.
Yeah, man. I think it's also pretty sad when you look at a player bio and it highlights his love for SpongeBob SquarePants. I'm sorry, you're a grown man. You play in the NFL. If you're huge on SpongeBob, I mean, I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to go to the doctor on this one.
Yeah, so I really like this pick, especially for the Titans, who are a run-first team and have a tough defense. They want to play the ball control game. And Isaiah Wilson, he reminds me of, if you remember, about 8 years ago, the Bengals took a tackle from Alabama by the name of Andre Smith. He reminds me a lot of him, except he is bigger and he's more athletic. I think this is a great pick. I love what Vrabel is doing in Tennessee. I give this one an A-.
With the 30th pick, Miami takes Noah Igbenogany. Forgive me, or bless you, either one. Okay, out of Auburn University, he is a junior. He is 5'11", 200 pounds. He had 42 total tackles. And what I got here, because we had to go searching for stats because he was not on our big board, he had no fumble recoveries, no forced fumbles, no interceptions, nothing that you would expect out of a corner taken in the first round, which makes no sense. I watched Auburn football, and I never even knew who this guy was. So I think it's a bad pick, but we'll let our NFL guys talk about it.
Yeah, man. I'll say, man, the Dolphins have definitely returned to form here. This pick is, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm an idiot. There's a good chance of that, but I don't even know, man. This seems like the biggest reach of the night so far. It feels like something John Gruden would do with the Raiders. But I don't know. Dr. Dern, give us some good words.
So the Miami Dolphins had an opportunity to change their franchise around here with a huge signing in the offseason with Byron Jones, pairing him with Xavier Howard, giving them maybe the best cornerback tandem in the league. Then they have 3 first-round draft picks. What an opportunity. I think they do the only thing they can with the first pick and getting Tua. Great. Then they address their line with a tackle. Yeah, I think it was the wrong tackle, but it was still a tackle nonetheless. And now they're getting a guy, Noah Igbenogany, in the first round that is going to be a backup at best. Bad pick. I think I had 4 other corners ahead of him that were still on the board: Gladney, Fulton, Diggs, and Jalen Johnson. I give this one a D+.
With the 31st pick, the Minnesota Vikings select Jeff Gladney, corner from TCU, senior, 5'10", 191, 31 tackles, half a sack, and a pick. Higher corner than the one that was picked before him. Really interested to hear what the corner specialist thinks about this one. But first, Johnny, what do you think?
That's great. I am a second-rate corner specialist, so I will tell you exactly what I know. Jeff Gladney is much better than Igbenogany or whatever the heck these guys are saying before. So I think it's a good pick for them. He's probably one of the better rated corners that's still available. So I like that. We'll go with it. It's good.
Yeah, I like the pick as well. The Vikings lost Mackenzie Alexander and Trey Waynes this offseason. So they had a hole at corner, and I think they got a guy that plays that position who is better than the person picked in the previous spot by the Dolphins. So another good selection for the Vikings. I give this one a B.
With the 32nd pick and the last pick of the first round, the Kansas City Chiefs took Clyde Edwards-Helaire out of LSU. If there's a trend in the first round that you're thinking, it's probably right. LSU had a lot of guys go. Probably why they won the college football playoff. So Edwards-Helaire had 215 attempts, 1,414 yards, 16 touchdowns, and averaged about 6.6 yards a carry. He is 5'8", 209. So if you talk about a bowling ball of a running back, that's him. So in that finesse Kansas City offense, this gives them a little bit of a smash mouth feel. So Johnny, what do you think about this pick by the Chiefs?
Yeah, I like the pick. Anytime you got a guy with multiple names, add a hyphen in there for sure. I'm all about that. I like the name, like the player. He's good, man. The ball security, he's really well with ball security. So I think anytime you can get a guy that can catch coming out of the backfield for an extra check down for Pat Mahomes, I mean that's golden, man. So I like the pick. I think it's a good way to end the first round.
Yeah, I've got a few thoughts on this one. Edwards Hilaire, he reminds me of a mixture between Darren Sproles and hyphenated name Maurice Jones-Drew. I think he's a great outlet option for Mahomes. I mean, it's hard to argue what the Chiefs do because as of right now, they are still the reigning champions. But if I'm the front office of the Chiefs, I'm looking at the season thinking, hey, every team is going to be playing catch up. So those teams are by default going to have to pass against us. So I would have spent a first round draft pick, maybe shoring up my secondary, especially with how many first round talents were still there. Nonetheless, I think this pick benefits the team. I think they could have done a little bit more. So I'll give this one a B minus.
So we're going to wrap up our first round coverage with a little best player, best pick that you saw out of the first round, as well as the team that performed the best. I'm going to start with a team. And you know what? We gave Joe Burrow and the Bengals a little bit of hate on our last episode. Not overly trying to, trying to get them to not pick Joe Burrow, but we wanted to be realistic. 1 year of great college success, but now you're all in. You're all in on Joe Burrow. You took him number 1, and you didn't do anything stupid in the rest of the draft. You got Josh Jones there for the first pick of round 2. Do that, and you have shored up a lot of your issues from last year. And, hey, you might win 5 or 6, 7 games this year. So shout out to the Bengals for not screwing up their moment. Good job there with Joe Burrow. And I got to go CeeDee Lamb to the Dallas Cowboys. Fell into their lap with a deep receiver pool this year. CeeDee Lamb, immediate impact with Dak. Now you gotta make sure you sign your quarterback. Buckle down, sign your quarterback. You got another weapon for him. Interested to see what the Cowboys can do. What about you, Justin?
Yeah, I really like, just from an overall team perspective, I like what the Chargers did. I like them taking Herbert, and then the one thing that you can do to help a rookie quarterback is to give them a good defense, and they already have a good defense. And with taking Kenneth Murray, that just makes them that much better. So I like that pick. I like them shoring that up for them. The best pick of the night, I think, has to be Minnesota at 22, taking Justin Jefferson. I mean, the fact that that dude fell there, I think that's the steal of the night. I think looking back on the draft 5 years from now, we're going to say, how did that guy end up there? And how lucky is Minnesota that they ended up getting him? So that's who I got. I got the Chargers, and then I got Justin Jefferson there. Johnny, what do you got?
Yeah, so pick of the night. I mean, anytime you can get a true number 1 overall at a pick other than number 1, I think is great. So I think the Redskins, Chase Young is going to be fantastic, man. I would be, he's going to be incredible. So to get him at number 2, that's pretty good. I know the Bengals needed a quarterback. I don't know why. Dalton is the most underappreciated quarterback in Bengals history. Honestly. But they did really good for the pick. And for me, for team, I really like what the Dolphins did until the end of the first round there. So I'm going to have to go with the Cardinals. Getting Simmons and shoring up. They had a really big offseason. So I think they're going to have a good turnaround year this year.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the winner of the first round. I have to give to the San Francisco 49ers. They came in round 1 sitting at the 13th pick. They traded that pick to move down 1 spot, and in return, they got a 4th round pick, which is great value. And I think they still got the guy that they were coming into wanting to get in Javon Kinlaw. And I think he's going to be an absolute stud. And then later on in the first, they got Brandon Ayuk from Arizona State to fill up a need in the receiver spot. But I think the best pick of the night, and I don't mean to be a homer, but if you spend $50 million to get the greatest quarterback of all time, and then you spend another $10 million and trade a 4th round pick to get his best bud, Rob Gronkowski, to match with Tom Brady, and he's able to throw to Gronkowski, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin, well, you got probably the 2nd best tackle in the draft out of the 4th tackle taken in Tristan Wirfs. So I'm very pleased with what the Buccaneers did this evening.
guests, Johnny and Brian, for their analysis, especially when it came to translating to the next level at the NFL. And we hope you enjoyed our first round coverage of the NFL draft. We definitely will not be covering any more. We'll see you next time back on the Bricks.